One Piece is one of the greatest works of fiction to ever exist. If you told that to me last year before I even started watching it, I would have said, dog, you straight up lying, bro. But after watching 1,141 episodes, I can confidently say that my opinion on the show has taken a completely different turn. So today I'm going to be talking about what change, dog. What about the show, you know what I'm saying, reeled me in and, actually got me to turn from hate watching to love watching. Love watching, I don't know. I will be going through a spoiler-free review, and then later on in this video, I will be going deep into them spoilers, dog. Like, I will be talking about the individual arcs and how they're just goated, you know what I mean? This is my full review on the entire series known as One Piece. Now on to the spoiler-free review. Now the first thing I gotta talk about is the story, which, I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. As I said in the intro, I personally believe that it's one of the best works of fiction to ever be created, dude. And the reason why I honestly think that is because not only is the world building just phenomenal, it's just phenomenal. It's just such a good story. It's a long story, but it's like, it takes its time, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be honest, everyone's like, it gets good at around episode 600. Dude, if you hear someone saying that, they're not a real One Piece fan, dog. Because real One Piece fans say it gets good at episode 1. The reason why people say it gets good around episode 600 is because, let's keep it a bean with you. Episode 1, it gets good, right? But it builds momentum, you know what I'm saying? Like every show, like the first episode of every show just feels like torture. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It could be any show. The first episode will always just feel like torture. It feels like you're in jail and you're like breaking out of jail. It just builds momentum, and especially for a series as long as One Piece, it has a lot of time to build up that momentum, bro. So it honestly just does. And yeah, the world building, I would say, is just insanely good. Like, they have literally countries. They have their own version of cell phones. They have their own version. They're trying to make their own version of the internet. They have their own money, and they just have they have different countries, dude. This is like an entire different world. This ain't Earth. This is the One Piece world. And honestly, I would say one of the most favoritist things that the creator known as Oda does is that he gives other characters like such a spotlight, bro. For example, there's a character and he is a certain samurai. I'm not gonna say, but dude, he literally gets his own flashback, and it slaps, and you literally, like, you kind of forget that Luffy's the main character because this dude just takes the spotlight and he just does so much stuff. As I go into spoilers, I'll talk about more about these insane backstories. Far into the story, I'm talking, different arcs. Each characters, they have their own main character moments, dude. Like, there's so many characters that just get so much depth. Like, usually in other animes, you get, like, the main cast of characters, and then other than that, it's just, like, nothing. But there's so many characters that are not even in the main characters, not even close to being main characters, that just get so much spotlight and depth. And honestly, that just adds more depth to the One Piece world, because, you know what I'm saying, seeing it at other perspectives changes how you see the One Piece, you know what I mean? Not the One Piece itself, but the story. Because as the One Piece story is told through Luffy's perspective, it's, you know what I'm saying, as you can see, if you're watching it, it's like so happy and lighthearted and joyous. If you see it from a different character's perspective, it's a dark world, bro. I'm talking bad stuff. And also, this is kind of spoiler free, but deep on, like, even in the latest manga chapters of One Piece, like, a lot more is revealed about the history of the One Piece world. And let me tell you, bro, it's not even like, this isn't even a story, dude. Oda's building a whole mythology. And another thing I have to glaze about One Piece in this spoiler-free review so far is the powers, dude. Now, this is kind of a spoiler, but I don't know. It ain't spoiling too much. There's powers known as devil fruits, which is basically, let's say I had a devil fruit and I ate it. You just get that power, dude. And you could just do whatever. Not whatever, but, well, you could if you eat one devil fruit. Not saying anything, but the reason why I low-key rock with devil fruit so heavy is because, one, everyone gets a unique power. I talked about this in my other One Piece video. Everyone gets a unique power. Two, there's 3 types: Paramecia, Zoans, and Logias, or mythical Zoans, which basically, I'm just gonna run through it. Logias are elements, Zoans are animals, mythical Zoans are mythical creatures, and Parameciums are like any power, you know what I'm saying, like string. And later on in the story, they introduce, this is kind of a spoiler, but like, they introduce a whole other power systems. So there are two powers in One Piece. There's one that's just the devil fruits, and then there's haki, which, if you don't know what haki is, it's basically ambition. It's basically, the more ambitious you are, the more haki you have. And the more haki you have, the more powerful you are. Like, there are some characters who are just the strongest in the verse with just haki and no devil fruit, which is kind of insane. If you want to watch an anime that has a slapping power system that'll keep you enthralled and that has a lot of uniqueness and just like so much variety, you're not going to be seeing the same thing over and over again, then honestly One Piece is pretty goated for that. It's personally my favorite anime powers. Now the next thing I gotta talk about is the villains of the story. Now the villains, they absolutely slap. You know, you can't have a good story without good villains, and the One Piece villains are, well, I'm gonna be honest, they're top tier. They're top tier. If you want to know my favorite villain, it is a certain flamingo fella, but I'll get later on into that later on in the video. But some of the One Piece villains are they're just top tier, bro, because a lot of the villains, if you notice, they have these same goals as Luffy does, but they do it in different ways that make them evil. A lot of villains, they have like complex backstories too, which honestly just gives them a lot more depth. The emotional scenes, because dog, there are some tear jerkers in this, dude. Prepare to get out your tissues, because there are some moments that'll make you shed a tear, I'm not even gonna lie. Now, do I cry? Nah, bro, like, I ain't crying over a show, but like, you know what I'm saying? I almost do. You know, I almost do, because I'm such a thug and I don't cry. Even though it's okay to cry, but like, I don't cry. I thug it out, but I almost cry. Now, talking about the emotional scenes, we gotta talk about the action, dude. This story is chock full of action. Now, are the fight scenes like top tier Demon Slayer fight scenes? I don't know, I personally would not say that. They're personally not the greatest fight scenes. Past the Whole Cake arc, those are when the fights get really good. But before that, they're kind of meh. They're passable. Like, it's not insufferable fights, but it's just like, it's not top tier fighting, you know what I'm saying? But you get past Whole Cake, the fights become top tier, literally. Honestly, in a story like One Piece, you honestly forgive the action not being crazy because the story is just so good and detailed, and like, it's such a good written story that like, you like, it's like, if there's not even crazy much action, like, it doesn't even matter. But I've glazed One Piece long enough. I've glazed the characters, the story, basically everything. But there are 3 things that just grind my gears, dude, that if you want to watch this show, you gotta like learn to accept these things. The first thing is the pacing. Now, I'm not even gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna play a clip and just let you guys see what I'm talking about. Anyways, the next thing is the fan service. Now, if y'all out there do not know what fan service is, it's basically where the animators take the manga and they take for example, a female character of regular female proportions, and they make those proportions 20 times bigger for no reason. Just honestly annoying, and it honestly takes away from the female characters, like seeing them portrayed like this in certain outfits, showing their bits low-key. It's annoying. You know, I don't watch anime to see that stuff. I watch anime to see the story and the action and all the characters, dude, not their bits. The next one, which is certainly, it's kind of a nitpick, but it's also kind of a problem, which is the sound problem. They use the same sound effects in music from the 90s in the current episodes. Now, I don't know about you, but it's just kind of annoying, honestly. It kind of breaks my immersion, dog. Like you saw in that example, it can get kind of annoying and they need new sound effects. Like, I've been seeing videos on YouTube where they take scenes from One Piece and they add modern sound effects to it, and it just sounds like 50,000 times better. That clip that I showed might still be playing, but yeah, I'll talk about the pacing. The pacing is atrocious. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It is bad. Especially in Wano. Honestly, the newer Egghead episodes, it's the #1 thing that holds so many people back from watching the show, which is why I'm honestly pretty hyped for the One Piece remake. If you didn't know, they're making a One Piece remake, and they're making it with good pacing and good animation for the earlier episodes. Because let's keep it a stack. The earlier episodes, the animation is cheeks. Nothing wrong with the old animation, you know? I don't hate the old animation. It's just like, getting it remastered, though, I'm not complaining. Like, but honestly, I'm gonna say why. Those are my complaints. I'll say, should you watch it? I honestly say, yes. It's one of the best stories ever written, dude. But honestly, I gotta say this is kind of a complaint, but also kind of not a complaint, is that this show takes up your life, bro. It consumes your life. Like, I know people who watch like 20 episodes a day. If you want to be consumed by a piece of media like this, then watch One Piece, bro, because you're gonna be obsessed. Like how I am. I usually don't really get that obsessed with shows. I usually don't get like crazy obsessed, but even this show, I was like, yeah, this is peaky. Like, I watched 1,140 episodes. I literally started off the show and being like, okay, I'm gonna watch like 50 episodes and then I'm probably gonna quit. I didn't quit after that, bro. But honestly, if you do not want this show to consume your life, either, this is what I would say, this is my advice. Either read the manga, because you can get through the manga a lot faster than the anime, because the manga pacing is pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Or the second thing is to wait for the One Piece remake to drop, or watch the live action. I don't know. I don't really like live action stuff. I personally like animated stuff. I don't know, call me a baby, but I certainly do not really like the One Piece live action, because there was a certain scene, and this is kind of a spoiler for the first episode, but Luffy eats his devil fruit, but in the anime, it's like all lighthearted, like he's like, yum yum yum, and eat my devil fruit, and then and then in the show, in the live action, he's like, like, dog, you getting too serious about it, dude. It's just a devil fruit, bro. But that is my spoiler-free review, and now we are going to get into some deep spoilers, you know what I'm saying? The last two One Piece videos, I talked about the show. The first video, I talked about it all the way up to around the Enies Lobby arc. And then in the second video, I talked about, like, all the way up to the Fishman arc. Now I'm going to be talking about all of the pre-time skip arcs past Fishman, yeah. Now the first arc that I will be talking about is Punk Hazard. It's kind of cheeks. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably honestly my least favorite arc in the entire series. I honestly put it under Fishman Island. Honestly, they have one goated moment in Punk Hazard that honestly makes the whole entire arc a little bit better, which is Luffy using Gum Gum UFO. Like, especially after Zoro told him to be serious because it's the new world, and he uses Gum Gum UFO. But yeah, this was basically the villain in this arc was Cheeks. It's Caesar. Caesar Clown. Caesar Clown was a lot better of a character when he was just there to make jokes. You know what I'm saying? When he was like a comedy relief character, he was a lot better for that. But when he's an actual villain, he's trash, bro. Including his devil fruit. He has a Logia, which, honestly, it's Cheeks. He barely uses his Logia, even though Logias are like the most powerful other than mythical Zoan. He's just cannon fodder. But also, this arc had one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite pre-time skip characters, which is Smoker. Smoker was honestly one of my favorite Marines. And to see him back is, well, it's sad because he got dogged on the whole arc, but I honestly just wish for him, like, in Elbaf to come back and he'd be super strong or something. I don't know. I just liked Smoker. You know what I'm saying? Especially in Basta, where he was actually a good dude. He wasn't like a-hole Marine. He was a good Marine. He got steamrolled in this arc, I'm not gonna lie. And also, there was Virgo, and Virgo was pretty decent, you know what I'm saying? He covered his whole body in hockey. It made himself black, which is, honestly, in the One Piece world, is not even good, because hockey, if you spread it through your whole body, it doesn't even work as well as if you just put it on your fist. And I'll talk more about hockey later and explain it for y'all who don't know, because I'm the One Piece nerd. I'm honestly gonna nerd out in this video, you know, and if you don't like it, you can leave. And then, at the end of this arc, the most goated villain, Doflamingo, showed up, and he pulled up, and he sat on Smoker. He literally put hockey on his booty cheeks and sat on Smoker, which is, like, honestly kind of hilarious, because if y'all don't know, Smoker's a Logia, so... But also, a pre-time skip character comes back known as Trafalgar Law, and he's gonna do a lot more in the next arc, but in this arc, he was just kind of there, you know. They started the Alliance. This arc was kind of cheeks. It was still good. It's 6.5 out of 10, I would say. Dog it! Now the next arc is, it's one of my favorite arcs in the entire series, which is Dressrosa, which if y'all don't know, Dressrosa is inspired by Spain, the real country. How it looks. I don't know. I don't know if the story is inspired by Spain, but this arc had so many GOAT tier moments, like, first off, the villain, Doflamingo, best villain in the whole series, I'll say that. Better than Kaido. He craps on Kaido, honestly, but Doflamingo is honestly the best villain. Like, he just has that evil maniacalness, and he has the drippy pink coat. He just has that swag, especially that walk of his. And honestly, something I gotta say about Doflamingo is he's low-key underappreciated, because he is honestly, I would say, one of the best devil fruit users in the whole series. Like, he has kind of a crappy devil fruit, the string fruit. I don't know what that is in Japanese, but it honestly sucks as a devil fruit, but he makes it look, he makes it look like a power that I want, bro. Because he can use his string powers to fly by attaching his strings to clouds. So already that's goated. He can shoot strings like bullets to shoot people, and he can ignite his strings on fire. Also, Doflamingo being the GOAT, he was the first person to show a Devil Fruit Awakening on screen and explain it. Which, if y'all don't know, Devil Fruit Awakenings are basically when, you know what I'm saying, you master your Devil Fruit, so you just unlock a completely new arsenal of ability, which is why, low-key, I love Devil Fruits way more than Hockey. Having an awakened Devil Fruit is insane, because honestly, if Devil Fruits weren't already a goated power system before Awakenings, after Awakenings, they're just even that more better. I will never stop glazing Devil Fruits, because I think they're honestly the best power system in anime. Doflamingo should get a lot more praise, dude, because he's honestly the swaggiest, most evilest. His powers are really cool. Doflamingo's a 10 out of 10 villain. He's my favorite villain in the whole series. And honestly, his speech during Marineford about pirates being evil and Marines being justice in the war. Doflamingo is not even just powerful with his Devil Fruit and with his abilities and his Hockey. He has Conqueror's Hockey too, which is insane. He is also powerful with his politicalness, you know, because he's one of the 7 warlords, so he has protection from the world government, so they're not going to come after him. He knows the secret of Marie Joie, so he can just blackmail him to do whatever he wants. And also, he's the king of Dressrosa. He used Sugar's Devil Fruit to brainwash everyone in Dressrosa to make them love him, so he has a whole country. And that's not even talking about the most powerful political thing he has, which is his Smile Fruits. He owns Smile Fruit factories, which, if you don't know, Kaido, an emperor, he has the protection from Kaido because Kaido wants his Smile Fruits. So he basically has the protection of an emperor. Which, honestly, that makes Doflamingo literally unstoppable. So, you know, he's basically never been beat until, you know what I'm saying, a certain monkey dude came along. So Doflamingo's easily the best villain in the series. Like, that's not even, like, contendable. And his backstory is actually super tragic. Like, his backstory was he basically came down from Marie Joie to just the regular world and was like, hey, I'm a celestial dragon. I'm gonna be a human now, because the celestial dragons think they're gods. They're false gods, by the way. Blasphemy. Come after me, Admiral. But they're basically like, I'm gonna be a human now and come down to the world. And, you know, celestial dragons own slaves. They enslave people, and they force countries to pay them tributes. That's how they're so rich. And basically, since celestial dragons are so evil and they're garbage, everyone's like, yeah, we're gonna murk you. So they basically hang him by his wrists, and they're gonna murk him until he bursts out that Conqueror's Hockey. Another character that deserves glazing is the Senor Pink character. Now, this dude is honestly goated. Now, the first time you see this dude, he's wearing a diaper, he's rocking a binky, you're like, what is this dude wearing? But then you see his backstory, and you realize he's wearing that baby outfit is because it makes his wife, who's basically brain dead, smile. And that's just so manly. Name a manlier character. Like, that's why him and Frankie fought, because Frankie is equally as manly. You know what I'm saying? The battle of brawling. And honestly, I feel like it would be just goated if Senor Pink came back and was just homies with Frankie, because you could tell they were homies. But, you know, they were opposing factions, so they had to fight. And then the next thing I gotta talk about is Gear 4th, which I'm pretty sure Gear 4th is inspired by a Japanese god, which is honestly just awesome, dude. Bounce Man is insane. Gear 4 was easily my favorite, because, you know what I'm saying, he was just big and buff, and he had, like, all this hockey around him, and he could, like, fly, which is, like, a Bounce Man was honestly, like, it was a peak transition. Now, the next thing I had to yap about the Dressrosa arc is one of the most goated backstories, which is the Trafalgar Law backstory with Corazon. Corazon he's just absolutely goated, you know? You hate him at first because he punches Law, but, like, then at the end of the backstory, you realize, yeah, he was punching Law to keep him away from Dofi. You can say, oh, Dofi had a tragic backstory, that's why he's evil. Bro, Corazon had the exact same backstory because he's Dofi's brother, and he did not turn evil. He turned good. And, you know, just the fact that Corazon went to different hospitals to try to help Law and eventually got him the op fruit is just pretty... It's just GOAT, dude. Corazon's the GOAT for real. Also, another thing to talk about, there is so much to talk about with this arc, is he's honestly a love or hate character, but I honestly love him, is Sabo, because Sabo has one of the... Anytime Sabo's on screen, you know he's gonna be aura farming, dude. Like, literally in Egghead, he was aura farming, and in this arc, he was aura farming, bro. Like, he had the Dragon Claw technique. He was just straight up with his hockey mastery, and then he got the Flame fruit, which is Ace's fruit, ate that, and then punched a Flame Fist just like 5 minutes after getting the fruit into the freaking core of the earth. Like, this dude is just goated. And now the next thing I have to talk about, I'm gonna be yapping a lot in this video, but it is the introduction of the man known as Kaido. You know what I'm saying? Definitely not as good as Doflamingo, but he's also pretty goated. His introduction was just insane, dude. He literally jumped off of a sky island trying to opt out, if you know what I mean. But then he literally fell off of a sky island and just got up and was like, dang, bro, I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, delete myself, if you know what I'm saying. But he can't because he's so strong. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about with the Dressrosa arc, Rebecca and Kyros, which, if y'all don't know, Rebecca is basically a girl who used to be royalty, but then she was kicked out. So, like, you know. And by the way, they play her backstory a billion times. We gotta put some respect on Kyros, which is her father. And he was literally so strong that even when he was turned into a toy by the devil fruit, he was still strong. He was still beating up people as a toy. Yeah. And honestly, dude, like, after the Egghead arc, we know a certain bear-like dude, you know what I'm saying, Kuma, is the absolutely goated father, but also, Kyros is also a goated father. The rating I give for Dressrosa is like a 9.5, bro. Like, this arc is like near perfect. Now, the next arc to talk about is the Zoe arc. Now, this arc, it was short and sweet, you know? It was about the mink people who are like fishman, but mammals. They basically live on a big elephant, which is actually, how is that even possible? I'm not gonna question it, but I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. The villain of this arc, Jack, I don't know if this is true. You can fact me on this on the One Piece lore, but didn't he fight for 5 days straight? Like, if y'all don't know, the minks, they were like switching armies, dude. Like, one army slept while another army fought, and Jack just fought 5 days straight. Like, that's insane. Like, he's insanely strong. That's why Kaido and Wano said, you lost because you ain't weak. You lost because they're just stronger. But also, the great thing that made Jack also a really good villain is because he felt like an insane force of nature. And if y'all don't know, Jack works for Kaido. So if Jack is this strong, how strong is Kaido? Honestly, dude, you cannot talk about Zoe without talking about the scene where Raizo is safe. Yeah, nah, bro. That actually had me like, what? That was one of the best reveals of the entire series. I'm not even gonna lie. Zoe is pretty short and sweet arc, so I give it about an 8 out of 10. And honestly, it's also set up for the whole cake arc. Now, the whole cake arc, this arc is honestly, let's keep it a bean. It's one of the best in the whole series. It's so good. This is basically about Sanji's family. If the entirety of Germa just died, I wouldn't even be sad, bro, because these people are scum of the earth. They're literally scum. They're criminals. Like, bro, every time these dudes, including Reiju, including Sanji's sister, because, you know, they made her like the good one. Oh, I'm the good one. But honestly, dude, she's not good at all, dude, because if we think back to the beginning of Whole Cake, where, you know what I'm saying, she comes and sucks the poison out of Luffy's mouth, yeah, that actually happened, and, yeah, Luffy didn't consent to that. So yeah, she's kind of not a good character, dude. And let's be honest, if Luffy did the same thing to her, yeah, nah, bro would be canceled. But no one's canceling Reiju, you know? Now, moving on from that kind of controversial topic, we gotta talk about Big Mom. To be honest, she was a great villain, dude. I don't get why people hate Big Mom. Like, yeah, she said wedding cake a billion times in this arc. Oh, that was annoying. But, dude, her powers and just her backstory, just, they're goated, dude. Big Mom's a goated character. Like, I don't know if y'all realize, but Big Mom is insanely powerful, dude. Like, her devil fruit, which is the soul fruit, not Brooks' fruit. Brooks is the revive fruit. Hers the soul fruit. She can basically take people's souls and put them into inanimate objects, which is, it's pretty overkill for a devil fruit, let's be honest. Like, she literally took, I think, a part of her soul and put it into the sun, and made the sun sentient, a part of the sun. And she did that with lightning, and she did that with her hat, to turn her hat into a sword. So she basically has lightning, she has fire, and she has a huge sword that are basically her servants. And these things are so powerful that Haki literally does nothing to them. That's just broken, busted, dude. That's better than a Logia. You can get the cloud to fly. You can literally just do whatever you want. You can build an army of homies. They're called homies. They're basically like, think Alice in Wonderland type thing, where all the objects are alive. And also, let's talk about Big Mom's backstory, which, let's be honest, dude, Big Mom is insanely powerful, bro. Like, she killed an Elbaf giant when she was like, what, 5 years old? It was a flashback. It was like she was eating a bunch of wedding cake with her friends around her, and then when she stopped eating the wedding cake, none of the friends were there. Mother Carmel, which is basically the human trafficker from the world government, had the soul fruit before Big Mom, and yeah, she basically ate all of her friends. And that's insane. That's honestly insane. When I came to that realization, I was like, yeah, no, Big Mom, honestly, pretty goated character. I honestly like Big Mom. I know a lot of people hate Big Mom, but I honestly like Big Mom. But there is another character in this arc that puts Big Mom to shame, bro. And that is Katakuri, dude. He's up there with Doflamingo. He's one of the best villains in the entire series. Not because he's super evil, but because he's actually a good guy. So you're like, wait, how is he a villain if he's a good guy? I wouldn't say he's really a villain. He's more of an antagonist, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a part of Big Mom's family, and you know the Straw Hats are fighting Big Mom's family, so Luffy gotta fight Katakuri. Not only was his devil fruit trash and made it really good like Doflamingo, he had the mochi fruit, which if you didn't know, it's like a dessert. He literally created a fourth category of devil fruits, which is called special parameciums, which is where he can control his body, but if he still gets hit, he still gets affected. So literally, he's so goated. He has observation haki, and so he can literally see Luffy's attacks coming. He has future sight, so he can see into the future, and then he can like create holes in his body out of mochi, and then the punches go through the holes. Oh! Dude, when I saw this for the first time, I was like, what the freak? Oda's a genius. Like, how does one even come up with this level of powers? Makes hockey a goated power system, because just regular mochi, you know, not that powerful. But if you coat the mochi with armament hockey, now we're talking powerful. And he literally made just regular mochi. He put that hockey on it, and he made that stuff goated. So not only is Katakuri a master at his devil fruit and awakened it, he also has future sight, and he has pretty strong armament hockey to be doing attacks like that with mochi, and he has Conqueror's hockey. So this character is literally just overkill. Oda was literally that Blackbeard meme, you know what I'm saying, where he was writing on the paper. That was Katakuri, and he's honestly one of my favorites on the whole series, I'm not even gonna lie. I cannot talk about Katakuri without talking about his donut tendencies. Now, I ain't talking about Ace, but he goes into a little house and eats donuts every day. Not little donuts, big donuts, and he's like, ooh, donuts. Like, that just paints him out to be more of a good guy, because, you know, you wouldn't see Kaido being like, oh, donuts, you know, but Katakuri does it, and, you know, that just makes him more good. That just adds more to his character. That he's just a dude who likes donuts. And another reason I gotta glaze Katakuri is because literally some stupid character, I forgot her name, honestly, Flampe it was, and she's some annoying little girl who wants to be Katakuri's favorite, you know, which is, you know, that's impossible. Because everyone knows Katakuri's favorite is Brûlée. She basically tries to hurt Luffy for Katakuri, and when she actually does this, she shoots a dart at him, I'm pretty sure, and like paralyzes him. Then Katakuri hits him, right? And then he's like, hold up, wait a minute. He didn't block that attack. And so he finds out that Luffy got third-partied by this stupid sister, and so he actually takes his like trident and stabs himself to even the fight, which is like, whoa, that's crazy. When I first saw this, I was sitting in my car like, whoa! Honestly, dude, the Katakuri glaze is honestly, it's pretty well deserved. He's one of the best antagonists in the whole series. He's not even an antagonist. It's honestly a shame, though, that he didn't join the Straw Hats, because he would be like such a goated Straw Hat for real. He'd just be out here aura farming, which is what he literally did for the entire like beginning of the arc, dude. Like, he honestly he took this arc, which is like a pretty good arc already, because it had like Sanji's backstory, which is honestly just, it was heartbreaking. Katakuri took this arc to like what made it one of the best arcs, dude. Now Sanji's backstory was honestly like, that's why I said earlier, if these German dudes honestly just all died, I would not care, because like honestly they treated Sanji like dirt. These German dudes just grind my gears, and honestly I kind of wish the Tea Party actually happened, you know what I'm saying, because if all the German people were just slaughtered, that wouldn't be that bad, dude. Like, honestly, I gotta advocate for Big Mom a little bit, because, you know what I'm saying, if she had Germa's technology, honestly, if I was Big Mom, that would be smart, because you're honestly killing an entire band of villains who like terrorize the world, who literally make clones of people just to kill them, to use them as human shields. Yeah, they do that. They're not good people. And honestly, if I was Big Mom, I would kill all of them and take their technology for myself too, bro. Big Mom was low-key a victim in this arc because she was just gonna have her good tea party and kill all the German people, which I'm not complaining. Like, she didn't even harm Zeph. She didn't harm Sanji either. And she wasn't even gonna harm any of the Straw Hats either before they came to Whole Cake. It was just Germa who was gonna kill Zeph. Look, dude, I'm gonna be honest. If I had this huge phantasmastical cake just sitting there ready for me to be eaten and some little monkey boy came and destroyed it, I would be pretty mad too. I would not even lie. So honestly, I gotta advocate for Big Mom a little bit, you know? Is she that much of a villain? Yes, actually she is. So I gotta advocate against her now because all 50 or something of her husbands, she unconsensually had kids with them. That's not good. So honestly, all of my Big Mom advocating is now advocating against her, bro, because yeah, that's not good, bro. But anyway, we gotta talk about the next goatedest thing in this arc, which makes Whole Cake another pretty goated arc, which is Snake Man, which is basically Luffy's second form of Gear 4, which is he just turns really fast and he just has gum attacks that are really fast that outpace Katakuri's future sight. But if we, you know what I'm saying, look back on the arc, let's be honest, mostly when a character gets a huge power-up, their villain is completely fodderized, bro. Like, this happened with Doflamingo. As soon as he unlocked Bounce Man, this was like a one-sided fight. But with Katakuri, he was actually keeping up with Snake Man. Yeah, he was actually keeping up with it. Which is like, bruh. That's how you know Katakuri's the GOAT for it. If Katakuri doesn't come back in the story, I'm gonna honestly be mad. Same as with if Doflamingo doesn't come back in the story. La place de la femme, c'est la cuisine! But honestly, dude, I will give Whole Cake a 10 out of 10. I'm saying it, bro. I'll give it a 10 out of 10, bro, because of Big Mom and all the Germa stuff and the Sanji backstory. Which, honestly, dude, after this arc, y'all gonna come at me for this, but I like Sanji more than Zoro. You know what I mean? Sanji, he just has more emotion to him, you know what I mean? He just, well, I mean, obviously, because he fiends for every woman. That's honestly what I hate about Sanji, but, like, if we take away the fiending for women, a goated chef who has goated powers, who can literally fly and light his legs on fire and kick people, and also he's a chef, and also he never hits women. Like, dude, can Sanji get more goated? I like Zoro, but he just kind of lacks personality, dog. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Sanji has a lot more personality than Zoro does. Zoro, honestly, let's be honest, he's just there to aura farm. He's kind of like the Sung Jin Woo, you know? He kind of lacks personality. I mean, he has a personality, I'm gonna say that, but not as much as Sanji, you know? But he's just there to aura farm, low-key. Now, the next arc, which I gotta talk about, which is an absolute masterpiece, is Wano. Easily my favorite arc. Like, easily, bro. First off, we gotta talk about the animation and the art style. Number one, the art style is beautiful, bro. It's my favorite art style in the whole show. Even above Egghead art style. The art style is just so, like, expressive and, you know what I'm saying, it's so colorful and, like, you know what I'm saying, it's rich. You know, you could almost bite it. The art style just honestly complements the arc perfectly, and it's honestly my favorite art style, even above Egghead, bro. And also the animation, dude, in this arc is just, it's just bountiful, dude. It's so good, dude. You can tell they put their heart and soul into that animation, bro. Like, it's beautacular. And this animation is straight up showcased in the first opening, which, by the way, low-key is my favorite opening of the whole series. But that first opening, the first Wano opening, that animation be slap-a-lapping, you know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely have to say that this arc is easily the best, bro. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Oda's been formulating his formula of Straw Hats going to island and fighting Evil Guy. Like, he's been honing that skill, and I feel like this is the peak of that, like, story, you know? This is the peak of that trope right here, you know what I'm saying? This is a masterful way of it. Y'all are gonna come at me for this, but I honestly put it above Enies Lobby for real. Well, no, it's tied. And another reason why, honestly, this arc is GOAT tier, because they introduce a lot of new devil fruits, and these are not like, you know what I'm saying, the regular Lugias or the Parameciums. These are ancient Zoans, dude. So you got a whole bunch of dinosaurs now. Kaido's goons are all dinosaurs, dude, and Kaido and Yamato are both mythical Zoans. So, like, you just introduce so many new devil fruits, and it just adds so much to the arc, you know what I mean? But with all the good things, I do gotta talk about the pacing, which, you know, that clip that I showed earlier in the video, that clip was from Wano. So yeah, the pacing in this arc is absolute cheeks, bro. Like, I'm sorry, it's cheeks. Even though the pacing is cheekies, What really, honestly though, the pacing didn't actually bother me that much because, you know what I'm saying, you got the beautiful art style and the beautiful animation, so it kind of cancels it out, honestly. The next thing I gotta yap a lap about is the characters, dude. There are so many new characters, you know what I'm saying? All of the samurai, you know, Odin, which I gotta talk about Odin later, and Otama, Yamato, all of Kaido's goons. There's so many new characters in this arc, it feels like a completely different show, to be honest. Like, the new Egghead arc feels like One Piece, you know what I'm saying? It feels like the One Piece story, though very, very complicated and, like, not complicated, I would say, but there's just a lot going on in Egghead. Wano just feels like a completely different show in a good way, you know what I mean? Now, one villain in this is Kaido, and he's one of the 4 emperors, so you know what I'm saying? He's pretty much the biggest boss of Wano, for real. And then the other villain, which honestly, this is a controversial opinion. The other villain is Orochi. I feel like Orochi is honestly a better villain than Kaido. Whoa, come at me. He actually is, and I'm gonna say why. Because one, he's a lot more hateable, dude. Kaido, he just seems like a just random a-hole, you know what I'm saying? But he doesn't have like crazy amount of death, dude. That's something I will criticize about Wano low-key, is that the lack of backstory for Kaido is crazy for a villain that was like in an arc that's like literally over like 200 episodes. The lack of backstory is kind of cheeks, to be honest, but someone that does have a backstory is Orochi. Like, as soon as this dude appears on screen, you just hate him, honestly. Like, the scene that honestly made me hate Orochi is when all the people in the other Wano villages were starving and couldn't even have clean water. By the way, stay hydrated out there. And literally, Orochi was in the castle. He had like lines of women feeding him. And he's like, no, I don't want this. Throw it away. I don't want that. Throw it away. Even though the people of Wano were starving, bro. That honestly just made me hate the crap out of him. And honestly, in the Odin backstory, that makes you hate him even more. Because he worked for Odin and betrayed Odin. So honestly, Orochi's scum of the earth. It makes him a better villain than Kaido. Because Kaido doesn't really have much depth to him. He's just kind of like the a-hole that comes and takes over Wano. And he's just super strong. That's his whole character, if y'all don't know. But Orochi has a lot more character. And also one thing, though, is that Orochi actually had a really cool devil fruit, dude. He had, like, I don't know what the thing's called, but it has, like, this serpent thing with a bunch of heads. A Hydra? It's that. Orochi sucks because he didn't even use his devil fruit at all. The only time he actually used it is when Kaido cut off his head and then he grew out back another head. That's, like, the only time he ever used it. He only uses his devil fruit for intimidation, bruh. Which is, like, I mean, I can kind of see it because, like, you know what I'm saying? If you can turn into a Hydra, people are going to think... The people of Wano don't even know what devil fruits are, so they're going to think you're some, like, kind of god. And speaking of devil fruits, Kaido's devil fruit is honestly, like, one of my favorites in the whole series, dude. He can become an Azure Dragon, which if y'all don't know what that is, it's like basically a Chinese mythology dragon, which I didn't know this, but apparently in the Chinese mythology, the Azure Dragon is actually a carp, I think, that swam up a waterfall, and since it swam up a waterfall, it was granted godhood as a dragon, which, honestly, as a god, the dragon is supposed to be a protector of, like, the people, but Kaido's actually the opposite. That honestly might explain why he has not awakened his devil fruit, because, you know what I'm saying, in order to awaken your devil fruit, you gotta be one with it, you know what I mean? Like, Katakuri is, you know what I'm saying, he likes donuts and dessert, so he awakened his mochi devil fruit, and Doflamingo's very manipulative, so he awakened his string devil fruit, but Kaido, his devil fruit's like more of a protector, but he's not a protector. So that's why he probably didn't awaken his devil fruit. And also that makes you think, that's probably why Whitebeard didn't awaken his fruit either, because Whitebeard is not a destroyer, and his devil fruit is purely for destroying. But his devil fruit is honestly just straight up busted, bro. You can't even hurt Kaido if you don't have Conqueror's Haki, Advanced Conqueror's Haki, or Ryuo. Like, to do any damage to him, he's basically more powerful than Logia. He can fly, he can breathe fire, he could conjure up lightning, he can, like, make wind slashes. Yeah, dude, and he had his man-beast form, which is like his hybrid form, so he's basically like a dragon dude. He's pretty busted, dude, honestly. Like, I would eat that devil fruit. Actually, no, I probably wouldn't. I would eat one of the Logias over that, definitely. But speaking of devil fruits, again, another kind of devil fruit is the smile fruits. Now, we've heard about the smile fruits in Punk Hazard and Dressrosa. This arc really, like, told you the truth about the smile fruits because, dude, the fella Yasui, by the way, he's the GOAT for real, but he, like, sacrificed himself so that the Wano samurai could kill Kaido. While he was dying, he was laughing, which is like, why are you laughing, dude? And, like, his daughter was laughing while he was dying, which is like, that's kind of messed up, but, like, until you realize that the reason they're called smile fruits is once you eat them, you can only express laughter. Dude, that's messed up. And also, Orochi was feeding them to the starving people on purpose.
piss.
He was eating, he knew there was bite marks in the smile fruits, and he still fed them to poor starving people. That's how you know this dude Orochi is scum of the earth. Like, that's just evil, bro. Like, giving devil fruits that make you only laugh. He knows they're defective too. You're not getting a power. You're not gonna get, and even if you do eat the smile fruit, and even if you do, you get that 10% chance that you do get a power, it's an absolute trash
brother,
power.
this guy stinks!
Like, I would rather have no devil fruit than eat a freaking smile fruit. There's literally a dude who has a lion as a belt, and it punches him in the balls constantly. Like, I would not want that as a power, bro. Like, at this point, just train your hockey, dude. But also, earlier on in this arc, Kaido and Luffy fought, you know what I'm saying? Well, it wasn't a fight. It was a one-sided beatdown. You know what I'm saying? Gear 4 Bounce Man, you know what I'm saying? Get that Gatling on him, that Goom Goom Gatling on Kaido, and it did literally nothing. And then Kaido one-shot him with that Thunder Bagua. I hear a lot of people hating on the prison arc, but I actually enjoyed it because, especially the end when there was all the poison and then Luffy beat the poison, yeah. That was GOAT tier, you know what I mean? Now another little smaller moment that I don't think a lot of people think about is that Big Mom and Kaido fought in this, you know what I'm saying? They had like a crazy hockey clash. Now all of that I just talked about was only the first half of Wano, and now I gotta talk about, this is honestly one of my favorite parts of the entire series, which is the Odin backstory, dude. Odin, like, I'm gonna be honest, he might be my new favorite character. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just nothing but goated moments. If you're saying that Odin is not Emperor level, you're straight up tripping, bro, because he's easily Emperor level. He's one of the only people that gave Kaido a scar. Like, that's insane. And he took a earthquake punch from Whitebeard, just full strength earthquake punch, and laughed it off, bro. Like, this dude is straight up Emperor level. Like, you cannot tell me otherwise. And this dude had just straight hockey and 2 swords. I'm gonna list off go-to moments. He was on Whitebeard's crew, fought Whitebeard, fought Kaido. The only reason he didn't kill Kaido is because that one hag tricked him. Honestly, like, the whole Wano arc could just not even have happened. And another thing is that he could read the poneglyphs, which is, like, honestly insane to do. And also, he rode on the King of the Pirates ship, Gol D. Roger, by the way, and he went to Laugh Tale and saw Roger just laughing it up. Odin literally accomplished so much in the show, dude. He fought 3 emperors. If we're counting Whitebeard and Roger as emperors, he fought 3 of them, dude, and didn't even take a freaking scratch. Well, he did, honestly. And now the next thing, which was in the Odin flashback, which is honestly, this moment cemented, like, top 3 One Piece episodes, was where Roger found Laugh Tale. I mean, obviously they didn't show it, but he was just there, and all he was doing was just laugh. That's why it's called Laugh Tale, is because when Roger got there, he just laughed. It felt like the finale of One Piece, dude. Like, it was just, I was low-key getting emotional, you know? I didn't cry because I was a thug. Roger laughing and finding Laugh Tale is one of the best moments in the whole series. I'm say that. And then after this high point, we gotta freaking take it down to a low point, down to the gutters. And we're talking about Kanjuro. This dude sucks. One of the best episodes, if not the best in the whole series, which is the episode 1015, which is the start of Roof Piece. Dude, this episode was just so good, bro. Like, that one scene where it's just like Luffy and like all of these people like Roger, you know what I'm saying, Ace, Sabo, Odin, Whitebeard, all of those people, that shiz. Him ignoring Kaido and Big Mom was just peaking him, dude. He was just ballsy. And you know what I'm saying? You gotta respect that about it, dude. You know what I mean? The absolute cherry on top for this episode was that Luffy busted out his advanced armament hockey and used that red rock on him. Which is, I think, Gear 3rd mixed with the Red Hawk, which is the red rock mixed with advanced armament. I don't know. It's confusing. But it works somehow. And of course, this starts the battle versus Luffy and Kaido, which honestly, one point of this fight was actually just broken and insane, which is where Luffy experienced what is known as a hockey bloom, which is where your hockey just like rapidly increases in skill level, which is like insane. He literally busted this move out. And you know, of course, they cooked with the animation on any one of these fight scenes. And you know what I'm saying? You also got the scene of Big Mom and Kaido just freaking throwing a giant ball of hockey at them. And them just, you know what I'm saying, Zoro blocks it, of course, because he's the G. Just so many goated moments of this fight. And another moment that I'll have to harp on later. Kaido literally fought like 5 people and fought for like 3 days straight. And Luffy like literally got knocked out and literally died before he came back with Gear 5. Let's not disrespect Kaido here. He's still the strongest opponent Luffy's ever fought. If he fought Kaido with Gear 5 at the beginning of the battle, I guarantee you Kaido would still have won. The Kaido would easily still have won. Kaido boosted his Devil Fruit just by getting glug-glugged. You know what I mean? He got boozied up, and that honestly made him more powerful, and it turned him purple for some reason. And then the next thing we got to talk about is one of the most goated characters of this whole arc, which is Yamato. Honestly, dude, bro is just one of the most goated characters. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro wants to be Odin so badly, which I don't blame bro. And honestly, dude, it was a darn shame that bro did not join the Straw Hats. Like, bro was like, yeah, I want to venture around Wano like Odin did. Like, I guess. The next thing, which is my goat, Sanji. Literally lighting his leg on fire, but not just regular fire, blue fire, bro. Literally, this fight was so goat tier because the bro Queen, by the way, Queen, the dub voice actor killed it for this. And also, Queen literally has some of the coolest powers in the whole show. Like, bro has a ancient Zoan of like a Stegosaurus, but he actually makes it OP, and he makes it a cyborg. And he has all of the Germa powers. All of the powers that the Germa people have, he has too. Which is like insane that Sanji's fighting him because he's basically fighting his past. Now the next thing is the Zoro versus King fight, and honestly, dude, they put way more into this than they put into the Sanji fight, dude. Come on, Toei, dude. Like, y'all gotta stop glazing Zoro for real. Like, Zoro's a good character, but also Sanji's a good character, dude. Y'all gotta stop doing my boy dirty, you know what I'm saying? Sanji disrespect aside, this fight was actually just masterful, dude. It's some of the best animation in the whole show. Zoro went crazy, dude. Dude became the king of hack. And also, this is the weirdest combination, but we got Law, Trafalgar Law, Eustace Kid, and Big Mom fighting, which this was a pretty good fight, dude, especially when Law used Corazone's move of silence, dude, when he awakened his Devil Fruit. Both of them have awakened Devil Fruits, which is pretty goat tier, you know. I mean, I can't keep repeating the same 5 sayings, but this fight was really good. It would be better, low-key, if Trafalgar Law and Eustace Kid just died, and then Chopper, Nami, and Usopp killed Big Mom. No, that would be awful. We got to talk about what you probably clicked on this video for, which is the Gear 5 transformation, dude. Ooh, doggy. Gear 5 is a masterclass in how you make anime transformations because this is just perfect, dude. Gear 5 embodies everything that Luffy is. You know what I'm saying? The imagination and the creativity. Like, y'all were Gum Gum UFO and Gum Gum Buzzsaw and all these other wacky moves. This is just those on steroids, dude. Like, bro's just whipping out crazy moves like Gum Gum Muscles. And also, we gotta talk about the design, which is so cool, bro. Bro has the white hair that looks like clouds. Bro has the cloud rings around him, which I didn't know, but that little cloud thing around him is from Japanese mythology, which just makes it so much more cool. And he can literally just fly by running like a cartoon character. And on to the first criticization of the Gear 5, which is Toon Force. Not my criticism, but other people are saying like Gear 5 is way too goofy of nature, but I've also seen the same people criticizing that in the anime they make it too serious and he has like these red demon eyes in these scary impact frames. Like, what do you want? Do you want a scary transformation or do you want a goofy transformation? This has both of them, you know what I'm saying? Like, Gear 5, if you're just like someone watching the fight, you're going to be like, that's funny. But if you're actually fighting Gear 5, it's a nightmare, dude, because you do not even know what's going to happen, dude. Like, your insides, you don't even know when your insides are going to be like stretched around by the rubber. And also, can we talk about the introduction of Gear 5, which went so hard? First off, Zunisha was like, wait a minute, I hear them drums. And then it's like so hype, and then all the 5 elders. That would be the worst possible scenario if this Devil Fruit awakened. And then it's like the real Devil Fruit, not the Gomu Gomu, model Nika. You know what I'm saying? The Nika, the sun god, is actually kind of an insane reveal. And honestly, that's kind of genius for them to cover the fruit up and just call it the Gum Gum fruit when it's actually this ancient god fruit. And they're like, oh, this would be the worst possible scenario if it happened. But like, good thing our government agent took care of it. Yeah, about that, it actually kind of did happen. Honestly, I do like the detail that Luffy got third party by some dumb government agent, and this was honestly the same thing that happened when Kaido fought Odin and got third partied by the stupid hag. And honestly, this just adds to Kaido's character low-key because he was third partied and it ended unfairly, made him sad. Everyone out there is probably gonna be like, oh, I want Gear 5, I want to do whatever I want. But dude, do you realize that Luffy had to die to awaken his Devil Fruit? It may be because the Devil Fruit is so powerful that the more powerful ones, like Logias and stuff, the reason we haven't seen a Logia awakening is because the stronger the Devil Fruit is, the harder it is to awaken. Like, you see, like, the string fruit and the mochi fruit are both like kind of trash fruits, so that's why they were awakened easier. To end off the Luffy versus Kaido fight, Luffy made a huge fist, a Gear 5 fist so huge it was bigger than the entire island, which freaking slapped Kaido so hard he went into the Earth's core and just died. He's probably not dead, let's be honest. In this show, literally, people have survived, like, being shot and getting stabbed and not even dying, so probably him going to the Earth's core is not going to kill him. And then after this, dude, it was all honky-dory, you know, and then I gotta talk about the next thing, which is Momo's glow-up. And, dude, to keep it a stack with you, bro's low-key handsome, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he has Odin's sword, which is, like, honestly drippathy, and dude, the Fitstiffers in Wano, I gotta talk about this, because not only is Momo's fit just straight up slapping, dude, but every outfit in Wano was just, it was slapping. It's honestly a shame that at the beginning of the arc, all the Straw Hats put on these such fire fits, especially Zoro and Luffy, and then like halfway through the arc, they just took them off, and you know what I'm saying, put on their regular clothes. Luffy got more dripped out because he got a cape. He got like an all-black cape, which is honestly like, it was peakium. Yeah, I just gotta mention that the fits in this arc, especially Trafalgar Law's fit at the beginning of the arc, dude, he was putting that on, I'm not even gonna lie. Everyone was putting on such fire fits, and it's kind of sad that, you know, they took them off at the end. But also at the end of this arc, an admiral pulled up, and honestly, dude, this admiral is straight up scum of the earth. Now, I don't know what his name actually is. It's either Green Bull or Ryokugyu, but this dude basically pulled up and was like, yeah, I'm here to capture Luffy. Screw this dude, because he came at the worst possible time. Like, my boy is literally, like, tired from fighting for the whole night. Like, bro literally fought for an entire night, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna pull up. And also, he went to the Udon prison and started beating up Kaido's men, which, by the way, if you don't know, they were literally just fighting. Like, Queen literally just got his beat by Sanji, and then this admiral comes and rubs salt into the wound and beats Queen up again. Like, this dude is just stupid. And then he's like, oh, Celestial Dragons are the gods of the world. No, you freaking Celestial Dragon Glazer. Like, how can I ever feel bad for you? Dude, he literally got Wi-Fi hockeyed by Shanks, though, which is like, Shanks just pulling out his sword and using his Wi-Fi hockey across the coasters of Wano and hitting him with it. And another reason why Ryokugyu is stupid is because he actually has, low-key, I would say, one of the best devil fruits in the series, which is the nature fruit, or the woods fruit. He's a woodsman, and so literally he can just grow trees and flowers and plants and stuff, but no, he could literally be using this to like grow forests and like, and honestly he is stupid, because why would he come to Wano? Literally the entire Straw Hat crew is there, the Eustace Kid pirates are there, the Trafalgar pirates are there, and the Shanks pirates are there. He's literally going to a pirate-infested country as one admiral. Like, you think you can take on 4 pirate crews? But honestly, though, post-Wano, after Wano, dude, so much stuff happens. Not only does Cobra die, the Reverie happens, Cross Guild, which is like Crocodile and Mihawk and Buggy, the goat, the king of the pirates, Buggy. Lelusia getting nuked, bro. It literally got hydrogen bombed by Emu. Which brings me on to the next arc, which is the Egghead arc, which is the first arc of the finale of One Piece. And, bro, this arc did not disappoint, dude. This is probably my second favorite arc. The animation, dude, if you thought the Wano animation was good, dude, this animation is somehow on the same tier, if not better in some scenes, dude. Like, the animation, they did not hold any punches for this, dude, including the art style, which, like, the art style, while I do like the Wano art style better, this art style is very good, especially in the Rob Lucci versus Luffy fight. Literally, it's, like, so much more, like, you know what I'm saying? I gotta say this, it's like kind of like sloppy, you know? Like, it's kind of like expressive, chaotic, dude, I'd say that, but it's in a good way. It's like sloppy in like a good way, like it's very expressive of what's going on. After reading the Egghead manga, Gear 5 transformation is a lot better in the anime. They definitely do Gear 5 a lot more justice than in the manga. Like, in the manga, all of a sudden Gear 5 is just there, but like, in the anime, they actually show him transforming. Yeah, honestly, the story gets so much deeper, you know what I'm saying? We learn about some more of the history, and we learn about, like, this ancient civilization. I'm guessing it's the Joy Boy Empire. He's a new character, and he's, like, basically the strongest of the strong. And that's, I'm thinking that's his empire. And, you know what I'm saying? Vegapunk, he's also the science dude, and he says that this robot who, I don't know, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a robot, and he's from, like, this ancient civilization who is more advanced than Egghead. Like, how does that even happen? Like, Egghead is literally called the Future Island. Like, they literally have so much stuff, they can literally make machines that make food for you, and just, like, robots and holograms and all this stuff and tubes. If you think about it, after Leluza was bombed and nuked in, you know what I'm saying, complete genocide, there was a hole left in the Earth. Not the Earth, the One Piece world. There's a hole left in the One Piece world where water was just going into. But that looks kind of familiar, doesn't it? That looks kind of like the Enies lobby. There's a hole there, too. So what happened to Enies lobby? But the next thing I low-key got to talk about is the Law versus Blackbeard fight now. As I gotta say, the animation in this fight was absolutely perfect, dude. Especially Blackbeard using his first attack with the Quake Devil Fruit. And that was like, the animation did serve it justice, I'm not even gonna lie. Law's crew got steamrolled, which is pretty sad because I actually like Law a lot, but it would be better low-key if Trafalgar Law and Eustace Kid just died. Gear 5 Luffy versus Rob Lucci. This fight was absolutely bonkers, dude. The animation served it so much justice, and Rob Lucci literally awakened his Devil Fruit too, which is honestly insane. And also Kaku awakened his Devil Fruit also, which is the Draft Devil Fruit, which honestly makes sense. Luffy and Rob Lucci fought, and Rob Lucci got steamrolled by Gear 5. Like, there was literally no chance. I don't even think Rob Lucci did a single point of damage to Gear 5. But yeah, honestly, one of my favorite fights in the whole series, I'm not gonna lie. And Luffy just basically steamrolling him. Rob Lucci was like, yeah, I want the smoke, but he was not ready for the smoke. He was not ready to get Swiss cheesed. And the next thing, talking about Swiss cheese, we gotta talk about the Seraphim, who have nothing to do with Swiss cheese, but honestly, they're pretty cool, and I feel like they will serve a giant role in the story later on, because if you think about it, these Seraphim are literally OP. They have the blood of Lunarians, and I think Giants, and also they have the DNA of the 7 Warlords, and they also have Devil Fruits. So, that's just absolutely busted, and I didn't even realize this, but the Seraphim now in the story are just kids. What will they be like when they're grown up? That makes you think, dude. Are they gonna be absolutely broken busted, dude? Like, I hope the Boa Hancock one and the Jinbei one and the Kuma one will, you know what I'm saying, help the Straw Hats fight the world government once the final war comes. But yeah, even though the Seraphim are cool and OP, they are just clankers at the end of the day.
You're nothing but a wire-back silver number crunching clanker! Clanker!
But next thing, talking about, we're bulleting off all the things I want to talk about. The next thing we talk about is Kid getting freaking slammed, bro. So first off, Kid, honestly, I do respect Kid low-key for this because he was about to tank out an entire fleet of Shanks pirates ships. He was literally about to use his magnetic lasers to take out like 10 ships. But, you know what I'm saying? And he was almost going to be successful if Shanks wasn't there. Like, this was a Shanks priority. Like, you see Shanks fighting. You never see Shanks fighting. So, you know, this is a Shanks priority thing. So, he used his future sight to see in the future, like, oh, yeah, this dude is actually about that. This dude, Kid, Eustace Kid, is actually about that shiz. So, he's about to take out my whole crew. So, I got to hit him with the Divine Departure. You know what I'm saying? Which is the signature King of the Pirates move that the King of the Pirates used. And let's be honest, dude. If we're gassing up Odin, Roger used Divine Departure against Odin, and that sent him flying. But then Odin got right back up and started running towards King of the Pirates, ready to fight him again. Shanks did the same thing about Eustace Kid, and that completely decimated him. So let's be honest, this is just more Odin upscale. If we aren't upscaling the GOAT enough, we gotta upscale him some more. You know what I'm saying? Because Odin the GOAT for us. But then, on insult to injury, the GOATs, Dory and Bragi showed up, and they used an attack called Hakoku, which is basically what they did to that goldfish in Little Garden, and they did that shiz in 4K, and let me tell you, they did not hold back with that animation. It's honestly beautiful. And yeah, it completely decimated his pirate ship, which is like, it's kind of sad because like in One Piece, your pirate ship is basically your house. The next thing I gotta talk about is, in my opinion, the best moment in the entire arc, one of the best moments in the entire show, and that's Garp and Kobe on the pirate island. And honestly, there's just one moment that just like is just so go-to, that like Garp and his old fella Aokiji, they're fighting, and basically they like punch each other, but the punch in the impact frame, there is a dap up, bro. That's how you know the One Piece animation is so go-to, that the animators literally put dap ups in the animation to show that they are homies, which is like absolutely bonkers. And honestly, dude, the animation did not hold back on the animation in the slightest, and it was just beautiful. And also the soundtrack was just, it was beautiful. Yeah, and also then Kobe literally busted out his move of Honesty Impact. It basically just is like a smaller version of Galaxy Impact, which is not a joke. It literally, so the dude Pizarro, he has the island devil fruit, and he can turn he's basically the island. So it's a giant hand made out of island coming to kill everyone, and then Kobe just blows up that entire hand. It's honestly just insane how far he's come. Like, that's literally the first attack he's ever done, I think. Then we gotta talk about the next thing, which is one of the most goated scenes in this whole show. which is the Luffy versus Kizaru fight, which honestly, dude, I have to say, was just straight up masterful. Like, the animation, they did not hold back at all. The animation was just beautiful. And not even just the animation, the choreography too was great. Like, when they were fighting in the cloud, you know what I'm saying? He was using Gear 5. It was a masterful fight. Honestly, I have no complaints with this fight. It was beautiful. It was done masterfully. Kaido's still stronger than Kizaru. Kaido literally ate the Gear 5 attacks. Kizaru was blocking, he was dodging. Even with as many light clones, Gear 5 Luffy was still keeping up with that. So you gotta appreciate that, for real, for real. It was on the same tier as the Luffy versus Lucci fight. This was low-key a little bit better, but yeah, I love this fight. Then Luffy versus Kizaru fight, and then after this, something absolutely bonkers happens. And Saint Saturn of the Five Elders pulls up, and he has, like, this demonic transformation. Like, honestly, I find it cool that they teleport using summoning circles, which is just basically, like, yeah. The world government's demonic, honestly, and they have, like, Saint Saturn looks like a freaking demon, bro. He looks like a freaking spider demon. Honestly, just insane that one of the Five Elders is there. And also, he does have this attack. I don't know, honestly, what this attack is, but it looks like focused Conqueror's Haki. Like, his eyes turn red, and then all of a sudden, someone just, like, gets hit by it. I don't know what that is. Someone explain to me what that is, but Saint Saturn pulls up, and he's basically like, yeah, I'm the biggest boss here. But yeah, then after that, something insane happens, which is the Kumalala backstory, which this backstory was honestly heartbreaking. Like, dude suffered so much in his life, and it just honestly makes Kuma one of the best characters in the whole show after this backstory, dude. Like, I wish there was a slur for Celestial Dragons, because we would all be saying it, dude. Let's be honest. And yeah, then God Valley happens, which I hope we see that more in the manga, but God Valley's actually absolutely bonkers, dude, because we see all the Rocks Pirates. The Rocks Pirates are definitely an insane lineup, dude. Like, we got Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom on the same pirate crew. Like, Rocks is low-key, you know what I'm saying? When he appears, he's going to be absolutely insanely goated for that. Yeah, we see a little bit of God Valley, and also we see how Kuma ate his devil fruit, which was the paw fruit, I think, and that devil fruit's just absolutely insanely busted, broken, and he basically frees a bunch of slaves. And also, we get revealed to one of the holy knights known as Garling, and this dude, honestly, like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm keeping a stack with you, this dude's handsome, and he looks like Shanks, which he probably has some connections to Shanks we don't know about, but this dude low-key is handsome, and he's one of the holy knights, which is absolutely busted broken. Probably on the same tier as the Five Elders, but yeah, we see God Valley unfold, and honestly, Ivankov almost eats Kaido's dragon devil fruit before Big Mom steals it. It would have been kind of weird, because if Ivankov was a dragon, he works for some dude named Dragon. That's gonna be kind of confusing, but I mean, I'm glad he didn't eat it, because I feel like the hormone devil fruit's more suited to him, you know what I'm saying? Because he's into that sort of thing, you know what I'm saying? He's into hormones. Be honestly, Kuma, 10 out of 10 character. And he comes back, and he basically rocks Saint Saturn in the face. He rocks him in the face, which is honestly one of the most satisfying punches in the whole show. Saint Saturn definitely deserved that. It's basically up there with the Bellamy punch and the Celestial Dragon punch, but it is such a satisfying punch to see freaking Saint Saturn's scummy go down. But yeah, that's basically the end of the anime. Also, Dory and Bragi show up, and they start wrecking havoc on these people, and also they issue a Buster Call, which is just, it's scary. You know, Buster Calls shiver my timber, because ain't no one surviving that. Honestly, though, one of the newer episodes was where Luffy goes Gear 5 and he bounces around for like half the episode. I'll say that. But honestly, I will give them benefit of the doubt, because I think they are saving the animation budget for later episodes that are going to get insane. I give Egghead about a 9.5 out of 10. It was such a good arc. No, it's a 10 out of 10, bro. Egghead is such a good arc, honestly. It's a masterpiece, bro. So I was editing the video for this, and then the One Piece episode 1114 dropped, and then I watched it, and I'm like, I gotta make some revisions, boy, because that ish was so freaking heat, bro. Like, literally, this was, if y'all didn't know, One Piece 1144 was the Five Elders episode, dude. The episode where the Five Elders showed up, dude. And, bro, I ain't even gonna lie, bro. They did not hold back a single thing with that episode, bro. That was, like, easily top three episodes in One Piece, bro. Best One Piece episode is still 1015, but I'd say this is, like, honestly second, bro, because the way that these Five Elders showed up was just, like, woo, doggy. Like, the animation, the soundtrack, they used the soundtrack for when, the same soundtrack that Emu had when Emu murked Lelouch. And also in the same episode was the finale of the Zoro versus Rob Lucci fight, where Zoro freaking let's keep it a bean with you. He was suffering a little bit. Everyone thought he would low diff Rob Lucci, but nah, bro. He was suffering a little bit. Something known as Pete Saru and Saint Flattern, which is basically, if y'all didn't know, Luffy used Gum Symbols, which is a move where he basically grabbed Saturn in one hand, grabbed Pete Saru in the other hand, and freaking boom, turned them into freaking pizzas, bro. And then he was like, woo, 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 shoo. Made them go flying, boy. But honestly, no, this is just like way more Gear 5 shenanigans. You know, I'll never get old of Gear 5 shenanigans. Never. And speaking of Gear 5 shenanigans, the next thing I gotta lap about is the baseball incident. So, in the manga, I read the Egghead Manga. You know, I'm like 1,000 IQ points smarter than everyone else because I read the manga. But anyways, in the manga, he used this baseball bat that was painted black. In the manga, this was a direct symbolism of Mihawk's black blade. Like, you know how Luffy painted his baseball bat black, Mihawk painted his sword black. You know, he doesn't actually have a black blade, he just paints it black because he's a fraud. But in the anime, they made it gold for some reason. I don't know why they made it gold, you know what I'm saying? But maybe this proves that Mihawk is actually not a fraud. I don't know, man. The last thing I'll talk about is the Red Rock incident. So, basically, Warcury, if you didn't know, is that bull dude that was charging towards Luffy, and Luffy was like, alright guys, I got this, you know, because he wanted to show off in front of his homies, Dory and Broggy, so he literally busts out that red rock on him, and hit him, and dude, the animation was beautiful, right? But it did nothing to him. That's the same move that freaking rocked Kaido's on and made him, like, fall over to the ground, bro. And that's, like, I don't know if he was using the Ryuo Haki, where it's, like, the internal destruction, but if he was, then, that's kind of terrifying, bro. Like, how strong are these dudes? These are the same dudes who were cowering in fear in front of Emu, by the way. So, how strong is Emu? So, I have read the manga. I'm caught up to the latest chapter, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go like that, for real. But now, we're gonna talk about the manga. So, if you guys have not read the manga, then honestly, you can click off the video now because the rest of the video is going to be me talking about the manga. But we're going to talk about the manga right now, the rest of the Egghead manga, and Elbaf. So let's get it. So first thing we got to talk about in the manga is Vegapunk's message to the world. Dude basically dies, which is honestly, it's sad. It's so sad. Vegapunk's a goat for real. He dies and he leaves this one last message to the world, which is basically saying,
y'all gonna get flooded, bro.
Since Leluzio was like used by Ancient Weapon and that caused flooding all over the world, he's basically saying that 800 years ago, the reason that everything is islands is because someone used an ancient weapon that flooded the entire world, making the entire world islands. So, dude, if you think about that, every island in One Piece is a mountain. That makes so much sense, and that's just freaking crazy that every island in One Piece is actually a mountain.
Mountain!
Because the whole world was flooded 800 years ago by someone, let's be honest, it's Emu. 800 years ago, there was a war in the Void Century. It was like 20 nations versus Joy Boy's faction, which Joy Boy lost. Joy Boy also had the Nika fruit, so I don't know if it's necessarily Joy Boy that got clapped himself, because, you know what I'm saying, if he had insane haki, like, if he had the Nika fruit and he actually mastered the Nika fruit, like, let's be honest, if Luffy's going toe-to-toe with elders and emperors and admirals without breaking a sweat using the Gear 5 fruit, he just got the Gear 5 transformation, so he, like, doesn't even know what he's doing, basically. If he actually knew what he was doing, and he knew just how little limitations this Devil Fruit has, then he would low-key be doing some freaking work. But yeah, nah, dude, Vegapunk has this message of, like, yeah, y'all's about to get flooded again, so y'all's gonna want to fight back against World Gov. Yeah, and he programs this message to air on every single TV. So we see literally, this is such craziness. This reaffirms the world building that One Piece does, is because every new shot that Vegapunk is talking, every new panel is in a different place. Like we see Dressrosa, Fishman Island, Basta. We see Drum Kingdom. We see freaking Fuchsia Village. We see like everywhere in the entire world. We see Wano, Whole Cake. He low-key snitches on the King of the Pirates crew because he's like, the King of the Pirates crew, they know about what happened in the Void Century. And it's like, bro. And then Rayleigh's basically like, bro, how are you gonna say this? Like, I'm just chilling in Sabaody right now. But then the next thing that happens is that it's crazy. So Luffy and his crew are basically fighting all 5 of these elders. And then literally the robot Emmett wakes up the robot from the Void Century that I said was from the ancient civilization, he woke up and started fighting the five elders too. And then he was like, nah, we better lose. So we don't even know how this works. It was a flashback that cut to Emmett and Joy Boy. Joy Boy, we got the first silhouette of Joy Boy, and he's basically just like there, and he's just chilling, and he has like the straw hat on, is Joy Boy, and he's like, yeah, I tied a knot of Conqueror's Hockey in you, and you can pull that knot whenever you're in danger. Which, how does Conqueror's Hockey that strong survive for over 800 years? We don't even know. This single burst of Conqueror's Hockey that Emmett pulled out of this knot. He pulled the knot, and the Conqueror's Hockey just unzoned them. And then we see, honestly, such a goated moment, which is Aimu just straight up murking Saint Saturn. Like, this was such a satisfying, just a satisfying event, which is where Saint Saturn basically died. He got like, it looks like he got like infinity snapped, and he basically was just like, oh, I'm dying. It served you right, dude. You're an absolute scum of the earth. One of the only good Aimu moments. Now we talked about the Egghead Manga and the five elders pulling up, and that's just insane. Now we gotta talk about the Elbaf Manga. It gets even more insane than Egghead somehow. First off, we go to Elbaf, and we're introduced to, immediately, in the beginning, we're introduced to a new Emperor level dude. Loki. This dude is easily Emperor level, and he's honestly goated. He was mentioned in Whole Cake once. He's just insane. He's chained up, and he's just like, Loki's a goat for real, but we gotta talk about the next thing, which is the Holy Knights. My jaw dropped, dude. 2 Holy Knights, Gunko and Shamrock pulled up to Elbaf through a summoning circle, by the way, which basically means they're demonic. They went to Loki and was like, you gotta join us, dog, because we need giants. You gotta join us and become a Holy Knight. And Loki's basically like, nah, screw you guys. So, yeah. Shamrock pulls out a sword. This, by the way, is something that I've been wanting in One Piece for a long time. He pulled out a sword that ate a mythical Zoan devil fruit, the Cerberus fruit. Everyone thought the Blackbeard ate the Cerberus devil fruit, but this sword ate it. I've been wanting to see a weapon eat a devil fruit for the longest time. Like, we've seen it before, but only as, like, jokes. Like, there was a gun that ate the dog fruit. There was a sword that ate the elephant fruit, and those were kind of just, like, they didn't really do anything. This is an actually overpowered version of that. And he basically makes the Cerberus sword. These Cerberus, it's 3 heads, and they have blades poking out of their mouth. This Cerberus sword jack up Loki and attack him. It's insane. And honestly, the fact that Loki survived this is insane. Shamrock literally has a sword that ate a mythical Zoan devil fruit. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that's awesome? I think that's pretty awesome, to be honest. Honestly, though, if I was plopped into the One Piece world right now, I'd want to get my hands on the light devil fruit, eat the light devil fruit, so, you know, I'm saying you have light powers, you can shoot lasers and teleport, and then I would get a sword and make the sword eat Kaido's devil fruit, so I could have a sword that's a dragon. That would be sick, honestly, but that's what I would do. What would y'all do if y'all was plopped in the One Piece world right now? What devil fruit would y'all eat? But yeah, the Holy Knights pull up, and then 2 more Holy Knights pull up. Killingham and Summers, you know what I'm saying? They all have really cool devil fruits. Like, Killingham has the dream fruit where he can literally pull stuff out of your nightmares and bring it into real life, so he saw that. He took a bunch of nightmare creatures from children's nightmares and made them attack Elbaf. Funko has the arrow fruit, so it's basically like she can shoot arrows. So, it looks like what Aimu did in Marie Joie, but I don't know. This could... Something I do want to add, though, after seeing Elbaf, is that scene in Marie Joie with Sabo, we now realize that low-key, Aimu did not even attack Sabo. It was actually Gunko that attacked Sabo because it was an arrow that pierced him. And also, those demonic-looking things in Marie Joie, those were just actually the silhouettes of the, like, evil Zoans that the 5 elders had. So, actually, realizing this, that Marie Joie, not Marie Joie, if we realize that, then Aimu actually didn't do anything in Marie Joie. He or she didn't even attack Sabo. It was actually Gunko. Low-key, my favorite out of all the Holy Knights, the devil fruits wise, is Killingham, because I feel like that's just overpowered, dude. Like, just summoning things from people's nightmares is OP. We have Summers, who has the Thorn devil fruit, which seems alright, I guess. I don't know. I don't feel like thorns are such an insane power that the Holy Knight should have. He makes invisible thorns, too, which is just pain to deal with, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. Invisible thorns is insane. But yeah, we see all the Holy Knights pull up, and these are basically, like, let's be honest, these are probably low-key the villains for the arc. The Holy Knights, and I feel like they're pretty cool, you know what I'm saying? They haven't got too much depth yet. Like, I hope they expand more into their character backstory. We saw a little bit, low-key, with Gunko. We saw that Gunko, low-key, has a past with Brook. Yeah, y'all weren't expecting Elbaf to be about Brook, but honestly, I feel like Brook is gonna clutch up so hard in this arc because not only is Gunko bumping Brook's music, but literally Gunko had a past with Brook. Like they show like a flashback and like Brook is with Gunko, so that's like insane. Like I don't know, that's gonna be crazy. Right now, we haven't seen too much of the Holy Knights. We basically saw them pull up and start fighting immediately. But I just hope we see more of them because they're pretty cool characters, not gonna lie. But yeah, another thing with Killingham's Devil Fruit is not only he can manipulate and I think
pull nightmares from your nightmares,
he is also a mythical Zoan. The next thing we gotta talk about low-key is Frankie stumbling across a certain mural, the Elbaf mural. What my theory on it is I think it's the Void Century War. That's what it is. Because you know what I'm saying? You see Nika and you see some dude. Who you see like a big devil-looking dude, that's Aimu. Like, let's be honest. And you see like a mermaid, it's probably Shirahoshi. Oh, you know what it actually might be though? It might be the final war. The final war, the final battle, them prophesizing the final battle. I think that might be what it is. This mural is either, I would say, the Void Century War or the final battle. That's my theory. I'm probably going to be proven completely wrong, but that's just my theory, dog. So much world building, so much lore. And that's why I say earlier in the video that the history of One Piece is it's like a mythology. Lore of One Piece speaks like a mythology. It actually is, because there are gods. There are, like, world-ending events. Yeah, that's basically the Elbaf mural. And next, we gotta talk about one of the most goated characters for this whole arc. Gaban pulling up. Like, dude, Gaban is literally a goat. That big hat that he wears, where do I get that, dude? I have that hat back there. But I need a new one. I need a new hat like that. And if y'all knows where I can find a hat like that, just let me know, because that's absolutely drippity. But yeah, also Gaban basically pulls up and just straight up rocks Luffy, bro. Like, he basically, I think, didn't Luffy have to go gear 5? That's insane. And he was with the Zoro too, so Gaban is basically, if y'all don't know, Gaban is basically, he was on the King of the Pirates crew. One thing goated about Gaban that y'all don't know, well, y'all probably do know, because y'all read the manga if you're watching this. He cracked a giant, bro. He cracked a giant and had a kid with a giant. So how does that even work? Gaban's low-key a G, and he has 2 axes, and he's basically a hockey master. But honestly, the next thing we gotta talk about, though, is I honestly did not expect this to happen this early in the arc, but Aimu pulled up. Aimu possessed Gunko, which, bro, Aimu's devil fruit is low-key the demon fruit, the demonic fruit, and basically Imu in Gunko's body was like possessing giants and turning them evil. This is a Gear 5 issue, bro. So not only are there nightmare creatures running around, all 4 Holy Knights are there, and also now Imu is there. This is just overkill. This is literally overkill. What I think is going to happen is that I don't think the Holy Knights are going to, like, kill the Straw Hats. I think they're going to threaten the Straw Hats and be like, we're going to come back, and if all the giants are not ready to join the world government, then we're going to kill you. I did not think we would see Aimu fight this early in the show, but it's overkill, bro. This is a Luffy, Sanji, and Sanji matter. But the next thing we got to talk about, which is the latest things that are happening in the manga, is rocks. We were finally introduced through Loki's flashback Rocks D. Gzebek. And we learned that Rocks D. Gzebek is Blackbeard's father, which is just honestly insane. And there are theories that he's also Buggy's father. So are Buggy and Blackbeard related? We don't know. We don't know yet, honestly. But Rocks is honestly insane. First off, he pulled up and just cut a mountain in half with 2 fingers. Yeah, he was just like, and a mountain just cut, which is insane. Rocks honestly just pulled up to Elbaf and just became homies with the King of Elbaf and was like, yeah, join my crew, bro. Join my crew. And Harold was like, nah, I don't want to join your crew, bro. Rocks is like, man, you lame. And so he literally goes to Marie Joie and goes into Emu's flower chamber, which I don't think any pirate has ever been before. Rocks is just chilling there like, hey, Emu, how you doing? And then he leaves. Like, what? Without elaborating at all. Like, that's how you know Rocks is insane. And he killed an admiral. When is the last time any One Piece character has even hurt an admiral, let alone kill an admiral? Rocks was just introduced and now he's just already becoming him. And honestly, you may be wondering, earlier I said that there are Kaido, Whitebeard, and Big Mom on the same crew. And y'all want to know how he got that? He got all those people through Davy back fights. Bro, that one freaking low-key filler arc, Long Ring Long Land, which I actually kind of liked. But they brought back Davy back fights for one of the most infamous pirates to get his whole crew of emperors through Davy back fights. This is just, what? How does that even, like, that's honestly insane that Oda brought Davy back fights back and actually made them a serious thing. That honestly blows my mind. It makes Rox a GOAT tier character. Honestly, dude, I gotta talk about this, but Rox was low-key simping. Rox, Roger, everyone was simping over Shaku Yaku, aka Shaki. Because you have these legendary GOAT tier characters just simping over this one girl, which is like, come on, bro. And honestly, Shaku Yaku is smart because Shaku Yaku went to Pirate Island, which is basically like a lawless land, and set up a bar there. Basically turned down bad dudes into her biggest moneymaker. You know what I mean? All these legendary pirates simping over one girl kind of like, kind of taints their characters a little bit. I'm not even going to lie. But also, let's be honest. They are pirates. They're not going to be like noble, like freaking, I don't know. They're not just gonna be straight up just awesome all the time. Like, they're gonna have pirate moments because they are pirates, you know, they're not perfect. So yeah, Shaku Yaku pulls up and then everyone's just fiending and simping over her, and God Valley incident, dude. Like, literally, this is probably one of the most goated One Piece moments. You know what I'm saying? You have all these major characters. You have Rox, by the way, who is an absolutely goated character. He's probably low-key top 3. Probably my 3rd favorite after Luffy and Whitebeard. Then you have Whitebeard, Kaido, Roger, Gar. You just have all these people here. Dragon, y'all know Dragon. He's famous for looking east, right? Like, he doesn't look any other direction but east, you know? Literally in this flashback, he did something. This is the first time he's ever done something since Logtown. 23 years ago, probably. Dude, do you realize how big of a deal this is? Now I got a dog on him kind of because he rescued 2 babies, Shamrocks and Shankies. Dragon fumbled so hard. I mean, he was only a Marine soldier back then, but he fumbled so hard that he lost Shanks, and Shanks put a log where he was. And Shanks went into some treasure. Dragon actually doing something for the first time in 23 years? Like, I can't even believe it. Like, I honestly can't. Y'all know during the Yamato cover story, there was a scene where Yamato was in front of a grave, right? And this grave had Japanese writing on it. Someone translated this writing, and it says Kozuki Moria. So, does that mean Moria was from Wano? Actually, dude, this makes so much sense, though, because if you think about it, Moria and Kaido fought. You know, I mean, Moria got steamrolled, but it's like, they still fought evenly. Is this while Odin was on his journey? Odin was on his journey, you know what I'm saying, being all honky-dory with Whitebeard and Roger, while freaking Moria was duking it head-on with Kaido, bro. This also explains why he has the Ryuma corpse, which, if y'all don't know, that's the famous Wano samurai. And also, one thing that's kind of, like, weird that I learned is that, did y'all know that Moria has actually a lot of bodies of the former Rox pirates as zombies? Moria went to God Valley or something, or I don't know. I don't even know. Like, he just has a bunch of Rox pirates. Loki, Moria should come back. Like, I know he's with Blackbeard right now, so he's probably going to join the Blackbeard pirates, or he's going to join Cross Guild, and, dude, he needs a comeback, bro. Like, he needs to get, you know what I'm saying, jacked like he was in that flashback. But the next thing I gotta talk about is Rox, dude. Rox, honestly, we gotta show some appreciation for Rox. Now, I'm not ready for him to die yet, bro. Like, apparently he's a part of a clan called the Davy clan, which is like a, like, I personally thought, so before the newest chapter 1164, I thought that he mentioned someone named Davy Jones, and I thought Davy Jones was just Joy Boy's real name, right? But no, it turns out they are 2 completely different people. So we have 2 people, Joy Boy and Davy Jones. Luffy seems to be a descendant of Joy Boy, and Roxas seems to be a descendant of Davy Jones. Now, Rox's son Blackbeard is actually Davy Jones. Like, you know how Luffy's Joy Boy, oh, Blackbeard's Davy Jones. And I also saw this video where it's like comparing Blackbeard with Rox and how they have the same goal. Like, Rox wants to, like, take over the world, like, you know, like, literally in that one panel, he called Emu the world. So, does that mean he wants to dominate Emu? I don't know. I don't know if I can say this, but I don't know. This is like an hour into the video. But anyway, so Rox wants to take over the world, but also so does Blackbeard. And you know what I'm saying? The difference between the two is Rox does it with honor. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's ready to give up his dream for his wife and his friend Harold. Blackbeard will literally do anything, bro. Blackbeard will slime out Whitebeard and slime out anyone in his path to become king of the world. But Rox has morals, dude. So W Rox for that. Like, bro. It's not even Rox anymore, it's War Rox. Rox honestly is a good guy, bro. Semi-good guy. I mean, he's done some weird stuff here and there, but it's like, you know, he's morally a good dude, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just like a pirate. Like, he's a piratey type dude, you know? Like, they're not gonna be like I said earlier with the Shaku Yaku incident, they're not gonna be like perfect warriors, you know, they're pirates. He's not even a bad dude. Now, speaking of bad dudes, we gotta talk about Garling. Ugh, weird name, but basically, so y'all know how Shanks and Shamrock, I remembered his name, were born? Yeah, Garling literally came to God Valley and slimed out his wife. How is this dude just gonna slime out his wife that he had 2 kids with, bro? Like, this dude is beyond evil. Beyond evil. Well, I mean, he is now one of the 5 elders, so, like, makes sense. You gotta be, like, a certain level of evil, you know what I'm saying, to be one of the elders. But yeah, he's pretty evil. Yeah, so basically the God Valley incident started, and it's, like, just straight up murking, bro. Everyone's getting slimed out. Even little kids. Like, there was a panel with a little kid getting slimed out by Saint Summers. No one likes him. No one likes Summers. Yeah, the color palette revealed for his outfit, and dude, his outfit looks atrocious. Which honestly is fitting, because his character is atrocious. Kaido and Big Mom were at God Valley for devil fruits. You know what I'm saying? They're like, hey, you gonna give me devil fruit? You gonna give me a devil fruit? Oh, that's all he wanted. Kaido and Big Mom were there for devil fruits. You know what I'm saying? Roger, all the Roger pirates were there for Shaku Yaku because they're freaking gooners. And some other dudes, some other Rocks pirates were just there for treasure. Oh, treasure. But no. Rocks, being an absolute Chad, was there for his wife and his kid. Dude, because his wife and kid were there, and, yeah, they were honestly gonna get murked by Rocks, too. But honestly, Rocks being there is, like, just solidifies him as, just, like, a great character, because if he was evil, like Garling, you know what I'm saying, that parallels him and Garling. Like, Garling is supposedly, like, oh, I'm, like, Saint Garling or whatever, but he murked out his wife. He slimed out his wife. Rocks, supposedly being the most infamous and evil pirate of all time, literally being erased from history, dang near, literally was there to save his wife and kids. So, you know what I'm saying, they contrast each other. Someone who's supposed to be good, sliming out his wife. Someone's supposed to be evil, saving his wife. But also something I kind of find funny, which is like, literally, bro, we're literally talking about Rocks and freaking Garling. And dude, this is all this is Loki saying this. This is literally Loki telling this story. This was supposed to be a flashback about King Harold. Y'all remember that? Like, I don't even know how we, like, yeah, so basically, this is Loki. He's like, yeah, this is about my dad, Harold. And by the way, everyone was gooning over this girl, and then, oh, this war happened. Like, bro, this is like, I'm not even complaining, because it's like, we're eating right now. You know what I'm saying? One Piece fans, this is the best time to be a One Piece fan, because Oda's releasing straight heat after heat chapters, bro. But it's like, that's kind of crazy, though, that, like, literally all of this is because of King Harold. Which, y'all, I literally think that, if y'all see the resemblance, I think King Harold is Kaido's dad. I think that, honestly. But anyways, you know, earlier I talked about Garling being evil and Rocks being good. Yeah, Rocks beat the pulp out of Garling, bro. Like, literally, pulp. Rocks literally Swiss cheesed Garling, bro. Like how goated of a character you have to be to Swiss cheese Garling. I mean, this is the same dude who slimed out an admiral, so it's like, you know what I'm saying, it's only like I'm surprised Garling isn't right now. But anyways, the next thing we gotta talk about is the man, the myth, the legend, Garp pulling up. Dude, he's one of my favorites, not gonna lie. I mean, I know I said Whitebeard. He's like low-key tied with Whitebeard as one of my favorites, low-key. But Garp, though, literally, he pulled up. And look, like, y'all gotta put respect on Garp's name, because when the chapter dropped, when Garp showed up, everyone was like, oh, he's there to help the Celestial Dragons. Oh, Garp loves slavery. Oh, Garp loves slavery. Like, all this Garp slander, bro. But, like, now we know that in the latest chapters, Garp did not know anything about what the Celestial Dragons were doing. He was just there because Roger was there. And yeah, so we have this perfect storm of events. We got freaking all the Rocks pirates, the Roger pirates, and freaking the Marines, and all the Holy Knights. This is crazy, bro. Like, this is like one of the most insane, like, this, you just got like all these different characters together for like this flashback, and it was like bonkers. This is like Odin level flashback. So Garp pulled up and he's like, hey, where's Roger at? And then literally someone else pulled up, which is freaking Emu pulled up. But Emu did this weird thing where he like assimilated himself with the Saint Saturn spider thing to make some weird spider hybrid thing. I don't even know. I don't know how it works. Don't ask me, bro. I'm not an Odaologist. But it's like
hybrid thing?
Like, I wonder why Emu possessed Saturn and not Gunko again. Like, Gunko was there. Maybe I'm just biased because I think freaking Gunko possessed by Emu just looks sick. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. It looks sick. It looks way cooler than the freaking Saint Saturn Emu thing. Yeah. Emu was basically possessing Saint Saturn and just like doing like crazy things. It's just like there's murking, sliming everyone out, bro. And yeah, so now Emu's there and like, bro, literally, do y'all realize? So basically, Big Mom and Kaido is there, and Big Mom's like, oh, nice devil fruit. You know, I'm gonna give this a kata curry. Kaido pulls up and rocks her in the back of the head. freaking rocks her, and then takes the devil fruit and goes, like, bro, there is no way that devil fruit did not taste good, bro. Like, they say devil fruits taste bad, taste like rotten fruit. Bro was enjoying every last morsel of that devil fruit, bro. Like, he was gluttonous. Like, this is the type of gluttony and greed the Bible warns you about, bro. But yeah, no, honestly, I actually loved Kaido in this flashback. Like, I wish he got more of this treatment during, like, Wano. Like, you know, Kaido was more like, oh, I'm just sad. I just want to, you know what I'm saying, slime myself out. Oh, you know, I'm just strong. This, he's actually like, yeah, I got my devil fruit, bro. He kind of seemed like that little brother character to Rocks and Whitebeard, you know? Like, after he got his devil fruit, he's flying around. He's like, look, guys, I got this devil fruit. Isn't this cool? Like, he was, like, trying to show off. And, like, bro, literally, that leads me to my next thing. It's Emu, right? Roger, Garp, Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom. Rocks. Dude, all of them do a 6 versus 1 against Emu. And, like, this is my personal theory. I think that the version of Emu there is a hologram, like a hologram type of thing. Because this attack did nothing. Literally jack nothing. Literally, Emu just, like, regenerated like all the elders did, like, just, like, straight up just regenerated, like, instantly. And this was a double pager too, bro. This is I think the last double pager since the 5 elders showed up. But it's, like, absolutely insane because you just got all these, like, people just, it's like a 6v1, bro. This is probably the strong this is low-key probably the strongest attack we've ever seen in the entire show. 6 top tiers versus Emu. So here are my theories. Either one, it's a hologram and it's not the real Emu, which is pretty plausible. And the second one is just that no one has advanced enough haki, bro. Like, as we've seen throughout the entire show with the whole Logia thing, like, oh, you need armament haki to touch the Logias. And then we see with Kaido, oh, you need advanced armament. You need advanced armament haki to touch Kaido. And then it's like, you need advanced Conqueror's haki to hurt Kaido. So it's like, what? How do we need, like, freaking advanced, super blended together Conquerors and armament and observation haki? So I don't even know. I don't think none of them were at their peak. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, no, this 6v1 does legitimately nothing. And we get to one of these saddest moments, bro. Like, honestly, Rocks gets freaking penetrated, pause, by Emu and gets Dami reversied, bro. Like, man, like, why'd you have to do my boy like that? So he goes on a rampage, it's sad, bro, because he literally, like, hurts Kaido and he hurts Big Mom and he hurts Whitebeard. It's, like, so sad, bro. Like, those are his homies, dude. Like, I feel like him, Whitebeard, and Kaido were just, like, bros, dude, and it's, like, so sad. Like, bro, we need more. And it's like he was gonna murk his family too, but the goat Kuma pulled up and, like, saved them. So it's like, you know, that's all honky-dory. Roger and Garp versus Rocks, dude. Now, this is very heartbreaking, but there's one thing that I gotta talk about. Roger literally offered Garp a position to join his pirate crew, bro. Like, when I saw this, I was like, what the flarp? Dude, this is, like, actually kind of insane. Like, he literally was like, hey, Garp, you want to join my crew? And this is what Garp said, dude. Garp wasn't like, no, screw pirates. He was like, yeah, I would, but I gotta protect the Marines, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is like, dude, this is Oda putting not only the Garp slander into the ground, into the grave, but also Oda's whipping his thing out and peeing on the grave of the Garp slander, bro, because Garp is literally the goodest dude, bro. Like, literally. He literally would have joined the Marines if it wasn't for him trying to protect the Marines, which, who is he trying to protect the Marines from? Is it Emu? I don't know. Is it the 5 elders? I don't know, man. But anyways, Rocks is fighting both of them, dude, and it's like freaking Conquerors haki everywhere and freaking armament. They're slapping everything around, dude. They're slapping it out and freaking woo-woo. They're just fighting. I don't know what I'm yapping about. But anyways, Roger, I'm getting this right, Roger and Garp, they both do a combo attack at the end of this, which literally just completely destroys the God Valley Mountains. Like, you see those 2 mountains up there? Yeah, no. They literally do a combo attack, which is insane. And dude, Roger, so this is not the official translation that I read, because I read the chapter early, but it's like, Roger's attack name is like the Flame God attack, which is kind of weird, dude, because does he have, like, that good a future sight where he knows that his son Ace would eat the Flame Devil fruit?
Shut your fucking mouth!
And Roger, they both unleash a freaking haven of attacks, and I think, yeah, no, this is definitely killing Rocks. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is, like, it's heartbreaking, bro. it's definitely heartbreaking because I don't want Rocks to die, bro. I'm not ready for him to die yet. But I guess it's his time, dude. So yeah. And then also Emu in Saint Saturn's body because, you know, Emu's like weird and possessive. Literally orders, like, you know what happened with Lelouch? Emu's doing the exact same thing. Emu's like, yeah, this island never existed. You know, something's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Something's gonna happen. You know, they're probably gonna use the Uranus. I think they have Uranus. I think that's what it's called. It's one of the ancient weapons. It's something. But it's like, bro, Emu's gonna use this ancient weapon. It's gonna be crazy, bro. Like, next chapter, this might be the end of the God Valley. So this is the last revision I'll make to this video. Yeah, I just had to add that, though. Garp and Roger, freaking goated. Rocks being possessed is very sad, you know what I'm saying? He was crying, which is, like, so sad. I'm not ready for this to be animated. 10 out of 10 chapters, dude. We're getting bangers week after week. But yeah, back to it. But now the video's over. Dude, that was, like, honestly, that could have been an hour worth of footage, if more than that I just recorded. But honestly, I'm pretty happy with my One Piece journey, you know? I started it in November, and I've caught up in August. So that's like, what, 10 months? Not bad, to be honest. I honestly do recommend you watch One Piece because it's just one of those just goated shows. But if you're here this long in the video, then you've probably already watched One Piece, so I don't know why I'm saying any of this. But yeah, dude, have a goated rest of your day, and you know what I'm saying? I would say drop a like and smack a sub for your boy. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to be posting a lot more on this channel. I know I say... Actually, no. I'm not going to say that. Because every time I say I'm posting more, I don't post. But I'm just going to try to be more consistent with YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, dude. That is, yeah, that's my review on One Piece. Fully review it. Honestly, I gave it a 9.9 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? They have that little pacing and fan service issues. Along with the sound issues. But if we're rating the manga, it's a 10 out of 10 easily. Like, I have no complaints, honestly. With the story of One Piece, I have no complaints. It's a masterpiece. Honestly, though, I'll see you guys in the next video, and yeah. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.